At the end of every one of our practices, we do some kind of an exercise, some kind of an activity that involves something, but it's not wrestling. It is something that where we get into our young people's lives and even in the coaches' lives. So these activities, all our athletes are part of them. We have a number of different ones. Our coaches take part in them. One of our most, I think, impactful and powerful ones is we do what's called a defining moment. So a defining moment, the first thing I do is I describe what a defining moment is to our athletes and coaches. It's one of those things that happens in our lives that actually changes the course of our lives from that point forward. Adults, certainly they'd be able to point to a defining moment for sure in their life, that thing that happened to them that kind of changed the course of their life going forward. Young people, they all have them. They'll be more significant later on, but it's still important. So this is what a defining moment is. It's one of those things that it happened to my life, and from that point on, I started to look at things differently. One of the things you notice right off the bat, and we can do probably 5 different athletes, they'll have their chance to describe to the whole team what their defining moment is. Like I said, we will do, our coaches participate in this as well. So you'll do 5 different people every day until everyone gets their chance to do it. What you notice almost immediately is those defining moments were almost always a negative in the life. It was one of those things that happened that was very negative, very challenging, very trying, and maybe was very close to breaking that person. But as a result of that thing, it changed the way they looked at life, or changed their focus, or changed their list of priorities, or just changed their life for the better. We've seen this happen in so many times, and we like to do this actually early in the season, because I will use it later on. You may have an athlete that is experiencing a difficulty in their life. It could be an illness or even a death in their family. And I'll use that and say, well, maybe this is your defining moment. Maybe it's an athletic setback. Maybe they're favored in a bout and they end up losing. And at the time, they're probably crushed. I'll just very casually go walk by and say, well, maybe this is your defining moment. A Christian sports psychologist that I know, a good friend of mine, would say, what you're doing is you are reframing it. So what reframing is, you're looking at the same situation, but you're just looking at it from a different angle. You've had the opportunity now to change it from the worst moment in my life and my life is over to perhaps this is the beginning of the best part of our life. I look at the life of Christ. His disciples saw him die on the cross, and so many of them thought it was over. Well, it wasn't over. Even though they thought it was such a critical defeat at the time, was actually, once it was seen for what it was the most tremendous victory, because Jesus Christ died for all of us, and it makes life itself possible.